Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. Thank you so much for joining us for the April Stamping Society tutorial. This month we are featuring the brand new Ornate Garden Suite. So this is two separate bundles. There is the Ornate Thanks and the Ornate Style. So the Ornate Thanks includes this gorgeous stamp set with all of these sentiments and this set of dies. And then the Ornate Style, which is this gorgeous image stamp, and isn't this bouquet gorgeous, is with this set of dies. So it's kind of like the Peaceful Poppy Suite in that it's two bundles to create it. There is also some amazing DSP, and it is the Ornate Garden Specialty Designer Series paper. It has some gorgeous colors on one side, and then it has some gold foil on the other side. Now, I may not have all of the separate patterns here. I've been working like crazy with this suite of products. It also has two different ribbons. There's Terracotta Tile and Old Olive, and they are both a sheer ribbon. I've put everything away now, so it's like grabbing everything back from its new home. So these are two wonderful ribbons. We're not actually using these in the projects today. I'm making two very quick projects today. Quick and simple. So there's that. There's also the Ornate embossing folder, which when I saw it, I wasn't a fan of it, but it is growing on me. And then there's also the Gilded Gems, which are phenomenal. They are amazingly faceted and shiny. They're wonderful. Okay, so let me show you the first of two cards we're going to make. Now, when I made this one, I thought it wasn't finished, so I think we're going to do a little sentiment over here somewhere. But, I mean, it's very stunning and very simple. I used the subtle embossing folder and some gold metallic foil. So you always want to do your die cutting first if you are die cutting and embossing. So we are going to take this wonderful die. And if you are hemming and hawing between getting one bundle or the other, it really depends what you think you'd use. So if you, I mean, personally, I ordered the whole suite, and that's the first time I've ever done that. But all of these sentiments go so great, and to have these beautiful border dies with them, and then with this one to have all the amazing frames, I couldn't choose. So I had to have them both. And in our tutorial this month, you will find that we've used a good combination of them. So to do this, it doesn't have to be, this is a 6 by 4 1/4 piece of the gold metallic foil. It doesn't need to be that large. Actually, we'll cut it down to 5 1/2. And then we are just going to line it up so that these edges, these little straight pieces here, go off of the edge. So quite a few of them do come out right away, but I would recommend getting a little container and just popping them all out. This is pretty much ready to come off of there anyways. You can also, what I found recently is just flicking them kind of sends them flying, but it also releases them from the paper quite a bit easier. So now we can run this through with the subtle embossing folder. I'm so sorry about all the glare, but there's not much I can do about it with this foil. You could really use any embossing folder here, but I found that the subtle gave it a nice subtle look. It didn't detract from the border. A little piece that wants to hang on there. So it's so pretty. Now I found when I did this, I put it directly on my card base the first time, and I found that it was too weak. So I am going to take my Whisper White Thick card base, and I'm also going to take a piece of Whisper White Thick and just adhere it down. This is not the right one. I want one that's the full size of the mat. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And now what I would recommend is we're gonna take this piece and we'll just pop out any pieces that are still remaining. There's only a few here. You don't want to glue them in. But look how well that flicking worked. It got most of them out. There's just a couple little small circles that remain. And now I will take my liquid adhesive and just glue this down. And I'll start with these little pieces over here. I don't want this to pop up. Any of the larger spaces, you can just add a bit of glue. You don't want to add too much because if it seeps out, it will get all over the front of your foil and it is very difficult to remove. And unfortunately, anything that removes it usually removes the finish as well of the foil. So let's just add a little bit here. I think to dress it up just a little bit, we're gonna take a ribbon that I didn't use the first time around, but I felt like something was missing. So between the sentiment and the ribbon that we're gonna use, I feel like that should finish it off just nicely. And I have to tell you that when I first saw this stamp set, I actually bought the suite without seeing all of it. I didn't realize that there was a second page to the flyer that Stampin' Up! Released. So I actually bought it sight unseen for the most part. Now I will tell you this stamp set is available as of today, April 1st until May 31st, and then it's actually in the new upcoming annual catalog. So you will have access to this for a year and a month. So if you are hesitating at all, it will be around for a while. It's not, now if you're a hobby demonstrator or if you're in this for the hobby, that's probably not too much of a concern. But for me as a business demonstrator, I don't want to invest money in something that I know is only going to be around for a month or two. So I felt confident purchasing the whole suite because I knew that it was going to be around for a while. So I'm gonna grab this, again, I'm sorry about the glare, that darn foil. I'm gonna grab the very vanilla and gold edged. It is the metallic edge ribbon, very vanilla and gold. And it's so pretty. And I think we'll do this near the edge. We'll tape some of it down and then we'll take just a tiny bit off for our little knot, make a faux bow. So I like to tape about 1 inch or so on the back just to keep it secure. Pull it rather taut, not so tight that it pulls your cardstock in because you don't want that. Tape that down. And now this is probably going to be too short. I really don't like to struggle when I'm doing my knots. See, even at that, it's a little too far over. So let's move this top one over. That's the beauty of the washi tape. You can move it over without it ripping, but it will keep it solid, stable. So we may need to trim a little bit of that off because I don't want it to be visible from the other side. And now I'll just trim a tiny bit more. You can always err on the side of more, but I thought I was doing a pretty good job of eyeballing it. Apparently not. And then just tie one single little, not even a knot, just tie it one time. Take your ribbon scissors. I don't know about you, but I have to have dedicated ribbon scissors and they have to be longer because shorter ones I tend to have to snip more than once. Yeah. There we go. That adds a little bit more to it, don't you think? We will add the Gilded Gems on each of the floral centers. I have used so many of these, it's not even funny. So I used the smallest. I don't know if these are 3 millimeters or what they are. They kind of get lost in there, but if you were to see this in person, it adds so much to the card. I can't even tell you. I will bring it in for a close-up when I'm done so that you can see, but it's just incredible how much it adds to the card. Okay, so let's just add a sentiment here. And I was starting to say that when I first saw this stamp set, I was not crazy about this font at all, but it has grown on me. And I just want to see, before I waste anything, to see if the thank you will fit. And it's just a little bit shy. My daughter hates when it's just thanks. She's like, it's disrespectful. It should be thank you. But I am trying to learn how to conserve my cardstock, because far too many times I'll go and stamp something on it, on my cardstock, and realize I don't like it there, or no, I should have put it somewhere else. So I'm trying to audition before it goes down. I heard this term from another demonstrator and I love it, because Stampin' Up! Has some amazing cardstock. It is truly difficult to waste it, isn't it? Whoops. I did not use my embossing buddy. And I just got brand new gold embossing powder because I found that my old powder was laying very flat by the time I was done embossing it, and that's usually a sign that your powder is old. So if you find that when you're embossing, you're heat setting your embossing, that it kind of lays flat, it doesn't have the dimension that it should, it's time to replace it. Just gonna heat up my heat tool and do my 10-second tidy here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that is it. I've discovered that if you heat set your embossing using the lower setting, it is far less likely to warp your cardstock. So if you can be patient, and if you follow me at all, you know that patience is not a virtue that I possess, it does turn out a lot better. And usually my mats are not the full size of the card, but I wanted it to be seamless here. Okay, so I really feel like adding that sentiment and the ribbon added a whole bunch to this card, didn't it? I'd love to hear in the comments below which one you prefer. I mean, I know I prefer this one, even just with the thanks on there. If you take the ribbon away, just having the thanks makes such a huge difference, doesn't it? And then you can stamp something on the inside. I think I'm going to forego it this time. It gives me a whole bunch of space to write a thank you. I can do this as a customer thank you card or any kind of thank you card, really. So that is the first card done, and I figured I would do two because these are both very simple. And actually, when I made the second card, which is this one here, it was so quick and simple, and also because I cut it on a diagonal, I had the makings for two cards anyways, so we might as well do it. So very vanilla thick card base, and here I have a 5.5 by 4 inch mat. Now actually I don't need this because when I started prepping this I didn't realize that I still had these pieces. So these are just 4 by 5.5 inch pieces that I had already cut just straight in the middle on the diagonal. So all we have to do is glue these. So this is the Ornate embossing folder that is part of the suite, and then this is one of the B sides of the paper. So all we have to do here is glue this. Now, before I do that, in true Ashley fashion, before I go ahead and mess it up, we're gonna take a little bit of washi tape to keep these two together, and we're going to use that same ribbon that I used on the last card, and we're gonna do another faux bow. That's probably way too long, but I always like to err on the side of too long versus having a piece of ribbon that's going to be sitting around for the next however many months, and it may get used or it may just get tossed. So I'd rather have too long. Okay, so that should be right at the same height. And like I said last time, don't pull it too taut that it pulls your DSP in. You can trim this or you can leave it. It's not like it's gonna add a whole bunch of extra height to our card. But there we go. Might be a tad on the tight side. So let's just loosen that up just a smidge because I don't want this DSP buckling. It would probably be fairly easy to camouflage it, but let's just do it like that. I think that's good. It may not be any different than it was a minute ago, but it feels better. Okay, so again, we're just gonna tie that little, it's not even a knot. Now you're gonna see what I mean because I don't have my ribbon scissors within reach. See what I mean? I never end up with a good cut the first time. Whoopsie. And now I feel like this is too short. So we're gonna get one more. And I'm gonna show you with my ribbon cutting scissors that I can get it in one cut versus snip, snip, snip. And these are nothing special. These are just probably Scotch brand or Dollarama. And the beauty of doing your knot like this is you can move it wherever you want. If you want it to stay in one spot, just use a glue dot to secure it. Yeah, I like a deeper angle than that. Sorry, that was getting a little blown out there. Okay, so now all we're gonna do is glue this all down. You could pop it up on dimensionals, but just keep in mind that we have cardstock and DSP here. The DSP is not gonna hold up quite as strongly as the cardstock will. So let's get one side right where it needs to be, and then we can align that second side, making sure that they meet up in the middle. Just give it a press. And then we're gonna take another piece of the gold foil, and this time we are going to use this one. And the beauty of this one is that, as you can see, there are a couple of these little flower dies. To me, these look like little germs. I'm anxious to see what people do with them, but you can layer them up. So you could layer them up in gold, you could layer them up in very vanilla, you could do whatever you wanted, but I like the look of just that the gold metallic foil just in the middle to close that seam. And honestly, I'd rather have it that way than to have them all stick in the die. So now, as I did before, I can just take my little bin and flick these out. Now, if it were a delicate die, you don't want to do this, but I think as long as you keep the one hand behind there, you will get a few pieces out. You won't get the whole thing perfect, but that's okay. Still need to take your pick tool. So it looks like all the pieces are out. Really doesn't matter which side you have at which end. And I think, if you notice on this one, I have it where the die cut goes over the ribbon. I think we might do it where it goes underneath this time, or it can go higher up. And we are just going to add some glue to these larger flowers. Whoops. So any of the spots that have a larger white surface. And I did leave this one blank inside. I do like to leave a lot of my cards blank, I find that you never really know what you're gonna need it for. So I prefer to leave them blank. Now with these large flowers that have the 3 smaller circles, I like to use the largest of the Gilded Gems to cover those instead of putting 3 of the small ones. You can see I got a little smudge there. And then the medium ones, can cover those. I think that's all we need for the medium. And as you can see, these are self-adhesive. You don't have to add glue. Love that. I know this is a lot of gems to put on one card, but chances are you're using this for a wedding or an anniversary, something special. Move this little knot over to the other side. So that's what I was saying about if you don't adhere it down with a glue dot, you can move it wherever you want. So it's not competing for the interest. Now, for this one, I'd like to know if you preferred it with the die cut over top of the ribbon or underneath. I think I'm kind of liking it better over top, but at this point, I'm not sure we can get this up there. Oh, yes, we can, because I didn't glue it. And then we could put one more of the little itty bitty ones right here. It wasn't until I was standing and looking at it through my camera that I'm like, nope, it needs to be over top. I see now why I did it. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that. There's our second card. Here is our first card. Both are very vanilla and gold. Used a lot of the same supplies. I didn't use a lot of the DSP from the suite, but I wanted you to see that you don't need to use the colors that are in the suite. You can use whatever you want. So I thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoy the full blog hop, and I thank you for also supporting us in the purchase of the tutorial, whether that be through a purchase with your local demonstrator, a qualifying purchase. So in Canada, if you're shopping with me, that is a $33 order. I can't speak about the rest of the places because I mean I'm focused on me, right? So you can get it with a $33 order. You can purchase it for $9.25 outright, or team members of my Crafted AF team get it for free. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me, stampedaf@gmail.com, or you can comment below, and I hope to see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.